All right, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Amy Royer, and I am the project coordinator of the Rural Health Initiative. The mission of RHI is to engage partners to share ideas and expertise and to support communities in improving health while stimulating a higher level of wellness across the state. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our webinar, Let's Eat, presented by Molly Stenberg with Montana Team Nutrition. All right, Molly, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Molly Stenberg, and I'm with the Montana Team Nutrition Program. And can you see my title slide there?
Yep, we can. It looks great.
Okay, well, we'll be off and running then. I'd like to acknowledge Amy Royer and her great staff at the Rural Health Institute for hosting this webinar. And they regularly host webinars for us, and so we really value their partnership. I also would like to give a little shout out to the Montana School Food Service staff and the Montana Family Consumer Science teachers who participated in developing this resource and really gave us the tools to learn from them and share with you today. So Team Nutrition and this specific project was funded with a USDA Team Nutrition grant, and in Montana that grant is awarded to the Office of Public Instruction School Nutrition Programs. And from that Helena office, the funds come down to MSU, where we put things into practice at Team Nutrition, and we work with school food service programs, we work with schools on school wellness policies and farm-to-school programs, and provide nutrition education to parents and community groups. Today we're going to give a really quick introduction to Smarter Lunchrooms, and we're excited to introduce you to a new free resource we've developed, and it's called Let's Eat, Engaging Students in Smarter Lunchrooms. And with this resource, schools can use it to form a school lunch advisory council. We call that a SLAC, and schools can use one of 6 lesson plans to really engage middle and high school students in creating smarter lunchrooms through either their family consumer science classes or their health enhancement classes, business classes, or even their science class. And we have a couple poll questions that would help me if I know my audience a little bit. If you can tell me if you're a school food service director or food service staff, a teacher, an extension professional, a parent, or other. If you can vote on that poll and push the submit button.
So those should be popped up. Can you see the results?
We do. Looks like we have some food service staff, some teachers, and quite a few others. So I know we have some AmeriCorps Vista service members on, and possibly some Food Corps. So really this is appropriate for anyone who's interested in healthy meals and healthy students. So we welcome anyone to this webinar. I think we'll do one more question, and that is, have you heard about the Smarter Lunchrooms movement? It's been around since about 2009, and it started on the East Coast at Cornell University. We've been training on Smarter Lunchrooms, gosh, since 2010 in Montana.
And I will tell you right now, we've got, let's see, I want it. 60% say yes, and then 19% are saying no.
Okay, good. So I'm glad that it's a familiar term. The other question is, I'm wondering if you guys have used any Smarter Lunchroom strategies in your cafeteria.
Okay, and I just opened that poll.
Smarter Lunchroom strategy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to tell you because it takes less time to share the results.
Yeah, you can just tell us, Amy.
Yeah, it looks like the majority, over 60% are saying, I don't know, 6% are saying no, and then 19% are saying yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy to share with you what Montana schools are doing with Smarter Lunchrooms, and it's simple and it's really yields good results. I'm going to take us back to our PowerPoint here. Smarter Lunchrooms, this is their website, and on it there's a plethora of useful tools, and I think one of the most useful is the Smarter Lunchrooms handbook. So if you feel like you're starting from scratch with Smarter Lunchrooms, this will really tell you everything you need to know about it. Smarter Lunchrooms is based on behavioral economics. So when we talk about Smarter Lunchrooms in schools, it's really designing a lunchroom to make the healthy choice the easy choice. And we know from our work with Montana schools, truly you can design a lunchroom or make the environment either help students make the choice you want them to make, or they might be making mindless choices where they're just in a habit or quickly running through and grabbing things. So really looking at behavioral economics is a way that we can affect how well students eat. And why does that matter? Well, everybody who's on today knows that school meals fuel smart and active students. So studies show that students who eat school meals consume more fruit, vegetables, and milk, and less fat than those students who are eating meals from home, or as compared to those students who might be going to the convenience store and grabbing a bag of chips and a pop for lunch. So if we know they're eating well in the cafeteria, they're getting more calcium, iron, zinc, fiber, and those are things that really are brain food. So students who are eating well will be performing well at school. Another important thing, a part of school meals, is they truly fill a need for hungry students. So in Montana, we have 1 in 5 students are hungry or have some degree of food insecurity. So the opportunity to have a school meal really sets them up for success at school. And we know that school meals are good for students, but they're also good for a school budget. So the more students we can have participating in a school meals program will be more revenue and money into that school meals program. So we know school meals are good, and why would we want to involve students in Smarter Lunchrooms? Well, they have great ideas, and the opportunity for students to sit down at a table with a food service director and a school staff member really gives them a chance to share feedback in a respectful way, and that improves customer service and customer satisfaction. And that way they can work together to create a lunchroom which nudges healthy eating and also decreases food waste. So all of these things add up to a more pleasant and positive meal time at school. And these are what the pilot sites did. All of these pilot sites did form some kind of school lunch advisory council or a SLAC. So these schools worked directly with 2 to 5 students, their food service directors, and an adult mentor to really look at their lunchroom and make some positive changes. Troy Middle School and High School took student suggestions and improved their salad bar. They had a naming contest to name their lunchroom, and they came up with Helen's Cafe, Eat Right, Be Bright. Columbia Falls was one of our initial schools, and they really tried to improve the atmosphere of their serving line. So rather than using just metal hotel pans, they changed to offering their fruit and their vegetables in these family-style serving bowls. So it really made the hot lunch line more inviting. And they were also, based on student feedback, trying to pursue the idea of having student musicians perform in the cafeteria during lunch. Billings Skyview had great ideas from their students in designing a more restaurant-style salad bar, And in this specific picture, you can see it's all green because they were celebrating St. Patrick's Day. The students noticed that there was a lot of leftover canned fruit from one day to the next on the salad bar. So they had an idea that they would like to have a smoothie bar. So working with their great food service manager there, they were able to start a smoothie bar, which offers smoothies at breakfast and lunch using some of that leftover fruit from the day before. And they presented them really nicely and gave them really creative names to engage students to order more of those smoothies. This is Hardin High School, and they had feedback from students that they would like to feature artwork in their cafeteria. So you can see behind this mountain of oranges, they have student artwork in the background there. And their food service manager has a history of working in grocery stores, so she knows how to build these creative displays. So she had built a mountain of oranges. And this day, all of the high school students took an orange, which was not always the case, so presenting it in an eye-appealing way. The students also told Patrice and the food service staff that one reason they weren't coming into the cafeteria to have a school lunch is because they weren't allowed to use their cell phones in the cafeteria. And so in order to capture some of those students that were leaving campus, they roll a cart to their entrance exit door at the high school, and they offer these colorful, fresh, grab-and-go meals to students who would otherwise not participate. So this is a great way to get some fruit, veggies, some good healthy protein into those kids. Livingston High School students worked with their business teacher and their family consumer science teacher to develop some marketing materials, which looked really nice in their cafeteria. Specifically, they did some on fruits and vegetables, and I love this one of their basketball coach was a life-size picture of him promoting fruit right by their serving line. They also worked with their shop students to make a little metal sign that they could use to label their daily made-from-scratch soup option. So that was a nice partnership there. This wonderful flag was made by the Belgrade High School shop class, and it's a big wooden flag with those nice metal stars on it, and it hangs right on this wall right above the entrance to their cafeteria. So that was a nice way that they can welcome those students in with that American flag. Over the last few years, we've collected quite a few Montana Schools Smarter Lunchroom success stories. And so we're pleased to share those with you, and they're all posted on this website right here. So if you're looking for ideas or want to see what Montana schools have done in the realm of Smarter Lunchrooms, this is a good place to get a little more information on that. Okay, so how can we get kids from thinking, oh, I'm just going to school lunch on the left, getting them over to these middle school students on the right so that they're happy to be in the lunchroom, they are satisfied customers, and they're enjoying a healthy school lunch. This is our new guide that we just created called Let's Eat, Engaging Students in Smarter Lunchrooms, and it was developed in cooperation with MSU Food and Health Lab with Carmen Biker-Shanks, also with MSU Extension Nutrition Education Program under the direction of Carrie Ash. And it's hot off the press. We just got it back from the graphic designer just last week, so we're excited to share that with you. You can use this guide to give you tips on how to engage students by forming a Slack, and then you have the option of using one of 6 lesson plans that are really designed to be used in family consumer science classes, health enhancement classes, or science classes. And the entire guide with each lesson broken down are available on this website right here. So this link at the top would give you the guide in entirety, And if you're just interested in 1 or 2 lessons, you can go directly to the lesson here on the bottom. All right. We had great support in developing these lessons from the following people, and we really couldn't have done it without them. Galen Eldridge was with MSU Extension. Alex Gonzalez is an FCS teacher at Glendive School District. Chris Holt is a health enhancement teacher at Whitefish School District. Joanna Krogstad at Bozeman School District, FCS. Lori Martinez, FCS teacher at Columbus. Twyla McPherson, FCS at Glendive School District. Elizabeth Stisco is an MSU graduate student who really developed the bulk of the lessons. And then Megan Vincent looked through the lessons with a fine-tooth comb, provided feedback, and really aligned them closely with the Family Consumer Science standards. So, best practices to engage students. We were really thrilled with the partnership that came out of these Slack teams, that creating a school lunch advisory committee really opened the door to build a good relationship and allow communication that really had never happened before, surprisingly. So starting your Slack, we think the ideal number is about 5 to 6 people. 2 to 3 students usually works well. A lot of sites started out with more, maybe 5 to 10, but by the end of the project they had about 2 or 3 participating regularly. So I think a smaller number is a little more manageable. Students could want to be on a Slack because it lets them really have a voice in making positive change to create a healthier school environment. So if you have students that really want to enhance their leadership skills or work on a social science research project, this is perfect for them. To begin, it's always good to share this information with your school administrator or your food service director so you can gather interested parties and introduce this topic. And then it works well to have 1 or 2 teachers kind of supervise or be the mentors for the Slack. Students are so busy, so if you can try to find a time that works well for a Slack to meet, we found that lunchtime is really convenient because then it doesn't interfere with events outside of the school day, and it doesn't require students to get to school early or stay late. Timing is important. Fall tended to be the best time of the year, and as Slack teams moved into spring, it just got to be really crazy. So anytime from October to March works really well, but schools that were trying to do Smarter Lunchrooms projects in April or May, it was a little more challenging. Really letting the students take the lead from start to finish works well, with adults leading the way. Having incentives for those attending meetings really was effective to get the students to show up. So whether that be school mascot items, gift cards, or free food at the meeting. And you notice we have free energizing food listed here because if we're talking about healthy foods at schools, we want to give them free energizing food. A lot of times the Slack would be incorporated with an existing class. So we had family consumer science teachers that would do this as part of as one semester, and that's a good way to get a group of kids. It would also work well with a health class or a business class. Existing student clubs like Student Council, FCCLA, or even like Future Farmers of America or 4-H clubs might be interested in some of these lessons or projects. All of these lessons follow the easy 4-step path to create a smarter lunchroom, and students can be involved in all 4 of these steps. Spot it, plan it, do it, and prove it. Planning for continuation, we really encourage you, if you do a little round of Simple Smarter Lunchrooms change and you feel like it was effective, then plan to continue it either by starting with another group of kids the next semester, or building it into your school's wellness policy, something that would really make that sustainable. Again, looking at the Smarter Lunchroom success stories that are out there, and then using one or more of these lessons that we've developed for you. And again, the lessons all are built on the 4-step path. And the lessons are listed here. There's 6 lessons, and they have all been created with the Smarter Lunchroom strategies in mind. So the lessons are on the left, and they all incorporate these strategies which are on the right. Redesign the lunch line is kind of a logical place to start. If you really want to target fruit and vegetables in your cafeteria, the second one would be great. Giving foods catchy names really uses that idea on how a restaurant labels everything to sound so delicious. You can do the same thing in your lunchroom with the help of your Slack team. Choosing a complete meal looks at creating balanced and reimbursable grab-and-go meals, or creating complete meals in your a la carte line so that all students can participate in that and build a healthy, balanced meal. Conducting a taste test lesson is a perfect student-led project, and this walks you through how to do that as you're creating a smarter lunchroom. It's a great thing to do either in the lunchroom or in the classrooms. And then the last one is specifically for schools that are interested in looking at plate waste. We know that food waste is a huge issue for schools, and Smarter Lunchrooms really gives schools a positive way to try to decrease food waste. I think the food waste lesson would be great for a student club, a recycling club, or an agriculture-based club, or even a science class. Highlights of the lessons, they were really designed for hands-on involvement, so they have some critical thinking, some problem solving, and some assessment built in that is all completed by the students. They were generously test piloted by Montana FCS teachers. Most lessons would require a time commitment of 3 to 4 class periods plus a lunch period. You could use the lessons in any order based on whatever topic you and your Slack team want to look at. They do meet the Montana education standards. They were developed for high school students, but they're also easily adaptable and useful for middle school students. And all of the lessons have the relationship building component built in so that they will get that through the development of their Slack team. Just quickly, this is what a lesson looks like. It's the first lesson, and it's the redesign the lunch line. We try to design them to be very simple, but with enough information that you could introduce students to what the Smarter Lunchrooms movement is, and then walk the students in the Slack through the spot it, plan it, do it, and prove it step. And all of the lessons are available at that website listed there below. Tips for using the lessons, a couple just really important things is I would recommend looking through that Smarter Lunchrooms handbook before you start to teach a lesson so you have a little bit more background information. The other thing is that with students' hands-on experience in the lunchroom is really important. So if teachers would consider offering extra credit to students who eat a school lunch meal, either prior to starting the lesson or schedule a day for the entire class to eat together is really effective so that they can actually see and appreciate what's going on in the lunchroom so that they can make recommendations. So how would you get started? Well, the first thing is to go ahead and form that school lunch advisory council or the Slack. And when you're doing that, what we learned from the pilot schools is be really creative in how you choose the students. We recommend choosing both male and female. Choose some who eat lunch regularly and then some who don't, so you get a different perspective. You can use an existing student club or class, or at the Kalispell Middle School, health enhancement teacher actually had a contest. So it made it more appealing to participate because they had to be selected based on this short paragraph they wrote on why it matters, like why does healthy school meals matter to you, or are you interested in creating a healthier school environment? So that was a good idea. Be creative in how you choose the adult mentors. Anyone who has an interest in this topic that is kind of a natural leader or likes to work with teenage students is perfect. Again, timing matters, so really avoid those late spring months. Plan for continued student involvement. And then one thing that we saw that it's really important to get your frontline food service staff on board so that changes are continued. I think Amy will unmute the line for any questions or comments that you might have.
Okay, and just to warn everyone, if you have music on or if there's background noise in your office, you'll want to go ahead and mute your line individually. I'm just going to do this, though, so you all have the capability of muting.
I'm hoping. But it's, and then I got an administrator for each one to send them.
Okay.
So it'll be good. I don't know if Happy will be great.
Anyone has any questions, and I'm just going to mute Katie Bark real quick because she's talking. All right, if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. Or you can type them in if you're more comfortable. Molly, did you see anyone on the call that had done a Smarter Lunchroom that you wanted to reach out to?
Oh, well, I did think that I had Sandy Batiste on from Billings, but it looks like she is no longer on. I see some of the reviewers that were on that reviewed some of the lessons for us. So if anybody would like to share your experience with the lessons, or feel free to do that.
I also have a comment in the chat box that says, any tips on working with elementary schools?
Yes. We've had really good luck with elementary schools with either the teachers working with kids to do some creative naming for the menu items. And if you're lucky enough to have a SNAP educator in your school system, we've had some really nice partnerships pairing up the SNAP educators with the food service directors. So the SNAP educators are teaching nutrition lessons in the classrooms, and they can connect it with lunch. Elementary students, I think, are a lot, I don't want to say easier, but they're a more captive audience because they're usually not leaving campus, and they really are drawn in by color, fun names, really nice, friendly serving staff through the lunch line. So if anybody wants specific things on elementary schools, there are some elementary school success stories listed on that website. Or you can contact me directly and I can share with you more elementary appropriate things.
Okay, any other questions before we wrap up? I don't see anything coming in, but if you haven't already, take some time to download that certificate at the top of the screen. And then I will also be sending everyone the certificate via email with a link to the recording of this webinar and a link to the slides. So anything else, Molly?
I just want to thank everybody for your time, and if this is something that you're really interested in and you feel like you could use some help in connecting either with teachers in your school or with the food service staff, let us know, and we're happy to kind of make the introductions and connections, and so you guys can get rolling from there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Molly. This was wonderful.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.